Hello students, it's Ms. Elizondo here, and today we're going to be talking about rational expressions. Please make sure you have something to write with, your notebook, handouts, and your open mind ready to learn. And if you have the packet that we gave out, the date on the packet is going to be 2/22. Go ahead and change that date to today's date, which is 2/24, and it should say Rational Exponents Day 1. So today we will identify the parts of a radical and convert radicals to exponents. You will be able to convert back and forth from exponent and radical form. Okay, so here I have labeled the parts of the radical. Where you can see that the n is located, that is known as our index. So usually you will have a number right there. If there is no number, we assume it's a 2, but I'll go over that later. Down here where the x is, whatever is inside the what looks like a check mark and a line, that is called our radican. And this check mark line looking thing, that is our radical. Okay, so we will no longer call it the check mark with the line. We will call it the radical. We have our index and our radican. Here we will write if the index is not written, it is automatically a 2. Okay, so for each radical, determine the index and the radican. So if you could take a moment, please pause the video, write these problems down if you do not already have them written down. Okay, now that you have that squared away, we are going to identify the index on every one and the radican as well. So remember, like I stated previously, the index is the number that is located right here. Right there. So if there is no number, we assume it is a 2. So for our first example here, our index is a 2. And the radican is 24. So that is for our first example. Okay, now I'm going to leave a little question on the side and tell me what the index is. Okay, so now for example number 2, go ahead and let me know what is the index in the question that I will post. You should have said 4, very good. And then number 3, our index is, very good, 3. Number 4, we have an index of 6. And number 5, our index is, very good, 2. Since there is no number, we assume it's a 2. Okay, now on to the radican. Let's go ahead and identify the radicans for the rest of the problems. Go ahead and tell me what the radican for number 2 is. So this one might have been a little tricky, but you should have said 128 n to the 8th. So it is the whole thing. Every single thing that is under that radical is the radican. On number 3, we have a radican of 16xy. Number 4, our radican is 448 x to the 7th, y to the 7th. And for number 5, our radican is 512 x to the 2nd power. Okay, so for these 4 examples here, I'm going to let you complete these on your own. So make sure to look back at the previous slide if you need to recollect your memory. Now we're going to talk about converting between radical form and exponent form. So whenever we are converting from radical and exponent form, what's going to happen is we have our index over here. That is going to go to the bottom, the denominator of the exponent, so that's going to go down here, and our exponent is going to pop to the top, and we have e over I, our exponent over our index, okay? You have this written down so that you may look back at it when you are practicing this. So we will identify the parts of a radical and convert radicals to exponents. You will be able to convert back and forth from exponent and radical form. Let's get started. So as we just wrote right now, remember when you're converting from radical to exponent, it's exponent over index. So if we have something such as this, go ahead and recollect our memory. Remember, if there is no exponent shown, it is a, very good, a 1. If there is no index shown, it is a 2, okay? So right here, if we're looking at this radical right here, since there is no number, we're going to assume a 2. And since there is no exponent, we're going to assume a 1 right here. So then we just transfer the number over. It comes out of the radical. The 1 pops to the top, and the 2 goes below as our denominator. So we have number raised to the 1/2 power. Okay, let's try that again. So again, now we are going from the opposite way. We're going from exponent to radical form. So let's go ahead and put our radical down. The base comes down. The numerator drops down as the exponent, and then the denominator comes out as our index. So that number goes there, and you can just keep the 1 with the 8 as our exponent. So just try to remember the numbers on top, it stays with the base, okay? So let's do it one more time. Example number 2, we have our radical. Let's leave the 6r in parentheses because all of that is being raised to the 3/4 power. The 3 stays with our base, and the 4 comes out as our index. Okay, now let's look at this example here, number 3. Notice that the exponent is only attached to the d because we do not have parentheses. So the 45 will stay on the outside. We will write our radical. Let's place the d inside the radical. The 2 drops down as our index, and the 3 the 2 is our exponent, and the 3 is now our index. Okay, let's look at example number 4 here. Again, we are converting from radical form to exponent form. Let's see if we can have it down now. So before we get started, remember we're going to place a 2 as our index. The 10 comes down as our base. The 3 goes as the numerator of our exponent. And then the index comes down as the denominator. Looking at example number 5, before we get started, let's go ahead and make sure we have a number for our index, our exponent, and our base. I see our base. I do not see a number for the index, so remember if there is no, not the index, the exponent. So if there is no number, what number do we assume? You are correct. That is a 1, and we have our index here. So bringing down the base, let's write our fraction line. The exponent goes to the top, and then our index becomes the denominator. So we have 2 raised to the 1/2 power. And lastly, we have example number 5. And I see a number for our exponent, our index, and our base. So last example here, we have 5 raised to the 7 over, and I believe that is a 8th power. So hopefully that was easy to remember. If you have color coding at home, make sure you color code it to easily help you identify the parts. Now that we have completed the notes, please go and complete. Actually, there is no assignment for today. Your assignment is to complete this Ed puzzle. Make sure that you have completed your work from Monday and Tuesday and any other missing work that you have, and you have a great day.